Shalom to my brothers and sisters walking in this truth. I am YAH'S fire, and we are Bani, Akal, Esh, children of the consuming fire. I want to talk to you brothers and sisters today about, yes, another controversial subject and title. Everything about us is controversial because we've been lied to and our history hidden for so long that now when we are bringing out the truth, it is controversial. There are people on the planet, of course, saying they are the people of the book, or they are the children of Israel, the real children of Israel. Well, it's been a long-held belief that these people were the children of Israel. But now that the Most High has poured out His Spirit in the last days, the truth has come, and the truth has been revealed. The problem is, not everybody is accepting this truth. And the only way to really find out the truth of the matter is to go into the Bible and look to see if these people are on the planet, if they're still around. And the way you do that is to go to the book of Deuteronomy 28, verse 15. And it reads, "But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee." So there are some people that upset the Most High and have caused the curse to come upon them. Now let's read. I only want to read the curses. Okay? Because reading the curses is where you will really find where these people are and if these people are still here. So let's read from Deuteronomy 28, verse 25. "The Lord shall cause thee to be smitten before thine enemies. Thou shalt go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and shall be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth." So we know there's a clue that these people would be removed. They would be smitten, hunted down, killed before our enemies, before their enemies. And then those who weren't killed will be removed into all the kingdoms of the earth. What do you mean kingdoms, Father? Countries, right? Let's continue. Verse 26, "And thy carcass shall be meat unto all fowls of the air, and unto the beasts of the earth, and no man shall fray them away. The Lord will smite thee with the botch of Egypt, and with the emerods, and with the scab, and with the itch whereof thou cannot be healed. The Lord shall smite thee with madness and blindness and astonishment of heart. And thou shalt grope at noonday as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled evermore, and no man shall save thee." That word evermore means forever. And I always say there are 2 forevers. One forever is where you and I, we are born and then we die. We have lived according to our lives forever. For instance, you would say to a female, your wife, your daughter, your son, your husband, "I'm going to love you forever. I'll love you forever." Well, how long is forever in the human terms? Well, that means I love you for as long as I live. That's forever. The Most High's forever is a totally different forever. The Most High's forever is from generation to generation, as He says it. Those are His words. From generation to generation, meaning from your grandmother's day of birth until she dies, and then her daughter's day of birth until she dies, and so on and so on, from generation to generation, meaning a continuous thing, right? Verse 30, "Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof." Well, let's look at verse 30. Thou shalt betroth a wife, and another man shall lie with her. During the time of slavery, our people were in the cotton fields or the gold mine, the silver mines, the sugar cane fields, wherever we were in the North America and South America, Spain, Italy, all over these places. Whenever the slave master got it upon himself or desired one of our women, be she married or not, he took that woman. There's a movie called The Butler, and Forrest Whitaker plays the butler. But as a kid, he sees his father working out in the field. The mother is out in the field. He's out in the field also as a child, working. The master comes out to the field and takes the wife. The father does not say a word, can't say a word. The woman, the wife, doesn't scream out or fight either. But the master takes her, has his way with her, and sends her back into the field. The husband doesn't say anything. He kind of looks away at her, shamefully. She's ashamed, and the child is hurt by it because he knows what happened. Point is, another man, you take a wife, and another man shall lie with her. We built this country and many other countries, but we weren't able to live in these houses or these palaces or these, quarters because we were the slaves. We built the vineyards. We built the cotton fields. We planted the fruits, the vegetables. We did that work. Right? That's two instances in two verses that show who the people are. Let's jump down to verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. The fruit of thy land and all thy labors shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed. Always, the Most High says, always we will be oppressed. These people would be oppressed always. So when you say always and evermore, that means you would see these people from generation to generation being oppressed always. Right? You should be able to see them. Well, I know that you can see some people on the earth that are always oppressed, killed, held on the bottom of society, the least, last hired, first fired. But I want to touch on something right there, because the Most High says in verse 32, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. I want to take you over to a place, and we're going to look at if there's proof of this. This is the Library of Congress, America's library. This is called the largest slave auction ever. March 3rd, 1859. And it reads, in spite of having inherited 2 plantations, Pierce M. Butler owned a great deal of money. Over 2 days, Butler auctioned off the human portion of his property to help pay off his debts. It was the largest sale of slaves on record in the United States, and it was referred to as the weeping time. The 436 men women, children, and infants, all of whom had been born on his plantation, were brought to a racetrack in Savannah, Georgia, and put in the stalls used for horses. There they waited, some for days, others for weeks, for the auction to begin on March 3rd, 1859. Continue. Page 2 of this same article. The sale had been advertised for several weeks. Every hotel in Savannah was filled with potential buyers. In the days before the auction, potential buyers went to the racetrack to look over the people for sale. The slaves were humiliated with the buyers when the buyers pulled open their mouths to see their teeth, and they pinched their arms and legs to check for muscle strength. The slaves said nothing unless they hoped to be bought by the person examining them. They knew they were to be sold in families, but family was defined as husband and wife, mother and young child, not brother or sister or parent. Some tried to convince prospective buyers to purchase their entire family. We're going to go to the next page. Where is it? Oh, come on. Here we go. On the first day of the auction, the slaves were brought to a long room called the Grand Stand. Mease Butler walked among his people, speaking to them, shaking the hands of his favorite servants. Wow. Fierce rains kept many of the potential buyers away, and the auction began 2 hours late. The auctioneer, Mr. Walsh, stood on a platform and began the sale. The first sold were George and Sue along with their 2 boys, George and Harry, for $600 each. Eventually, all 436 people were purchased away from friends and family and from the only home they had known. All their hearts broke with the knowledge that they would never see each other again. For many of them, the weeping time would last a lifetime. $436 people owned by one person, living on a plantation. He decided he was going to get rid of some of his human property. So he put them in a race stall, a racetrack. And these people, our people, were put up for sale on the auction block. And the Most High says in verse 32, chapter 28 of Deuteronomy, thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fail with longing for them all the day long, and there shall be no might in thine hand. They could do nothing when their child, their son or their daughter, was sold away. The mother and the father and the infant sold away, while the other siblings were sold to another family, sold away separately. And they longed and they watched as their child would be sold off and put on a wagon while he's crying or she's crying. The parents are crying. They're weeping, but there's nothing that they can do about it. This is the weeping time. Does that not fit the criteria set in Deuteronomy 28, verse 32? Who are those people? See, nobody can teach this Bible except us. And the reason is because they can't explain this right here. They don't know what that feels like. How can you teach me about something like this? You haven't experienced that. Or maybe you have, but you were on the other side of it. Our people was in these shackles. Our people were sold, oppressed always, forevermore. Let's continue. Let's skip down to verse 36. Deuteronomy 28, verse 36. The Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. And there shalt thou serve other gods, wood and stone. And thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whether the Lord shall lead thee. Vocab alone asked one of the Hebrew camps, what king was it that went into captivity? When the Most High makes this statement here, verse 36, the Lord shall bring thee and thy king, which thou shalt set over thee, unto a nation which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. He's talking about all kings of Israel. But since he needed to be particular, the king that went into captivity was Zedekiah, the one who had his eyes put out. He went into captivity. Nebuchadnezzar was told his men to go get him and bring his wife, his family, everybody. His whole family went into captivity under Nebuchadnezzar, and then they put out his eyes. Since vocab Malone needs a king, that's the king. And then every other king, because now they're under judgment. And the king is a symbol of power, strength. He's the leader. He's really not supposed to go into captivity. That's why the Most High says, even thy king. The king is representative of strength for the people. He's a leader. He's not supposed to go into captivity. But verse 37, and thou shalt become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations, whither the Lord shall lead thee. All nations. In the slave book, the transatlantic slave book, every nation on the planet was involved in the slave trade. Our people went into all of these countries, but that was during biblical times also. Scattered everywhere. The same people that are in the Bible are the same people you see today being oppressed. But you have people teaching this Bible. But it's funny how you don't teach on this. There's some other books you don't teach on, but we're going to get to those books too. You can't teach this Bible to us because you don't understand this. This is not your experience. And what shakes you is to know that these people went into captivity throughout all the nations. And you know there's only one people that have gone through that. But let's move on. Jump down to verse 41. Thou shalt beget sons and daughters, but thou shalt not enjoy them, for they shall go into captivity. We just went over that, right? All thy trees and fruit of thy land shall the locust consume. The stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. Well, I know a group of people that America was just in war with. You just went to war with these people, or you just came out of occupying their country. You took over those people and placed them here in America, the Afghans. And now you're giving them $500 million to take care of them. But when the Haitians arrived on these shores, you said, no, y'all have to go back. You said, no, you can't stay. You got the authorities, policemen, set them on horseback, no less. Boy, was that an image to take hold of, right? They're on horseback, swinging the horse straps as if it's a whip. At our brothers and sisters who are desirous to come here. But the Afghans were desirous to come here also. And they were allowed to stay. They're being put up in houses and things like that, the condos. America is putting them up. They're footing the bill for these people. But the Haitians, y'all got to go back. You can't stay. We know that you're running away from a terrible situation in your country, but you can't stay. And how fast did they remove our brothers and sisters up out of that place under the bridge? Man, the next day, it took them 24 hours. And them people were gone. There wasn't even a sign that they had even been there. Because the government came in and got rid of our people, got rid of our brothers and sisters who are brokenhearted, trying to escape. And they cleared them out within 24 hours. It wasn't even a trace that they had even been there. Who are the people if it ain't us? If it's not us, point out the people that these curses pertain to. Show us the people that have gone into captivity in every country on the planet. Show us who the people are that have sons and daughters, but they shall not enjoy them, for they'll go into captivity. Show us who they are so that we can go and comfort them. I mean, they're God's people, right? I would like to go meet them and say, I'm sorry for oppressing you. That's if it's not us. That's if it's not these people who are synonymous with slavery. Show us those people. Talk about it in your churches. Pastors, preachers, bishops, popes, everybody talk about it. Let us know who it is. This is in the Bible, so why don't you talk about it? Why is there no sermon about it? Because you can't do a sermon about something you haven't experienced. That's why. And you don't want to touch on it because you don't want to relive the embarrassment that you might face, or you don't want to live up to that. You don't want to own up to it. Verse 43, the stranger that is within thee shall get up above thee very high, and thou shalt come down very low. When I go to get a bank loan, it's all kind of credit checks and background checks and where do you work and how long you been working there, how much money do you make, do you have the down payment for? But when other people go in there, it's not so stringent. That's why when they come over from another country, they're so able to open up a store. First thing they do is open up a store, business. And where do they open this store? Right in the black community, where they'll get rich. Sidebar for a minute. Brothers may open a store, sisters may open a store, business. They may get the business, they may get the loan. But they get that loan with the intention of the loaner knowing this business is not going to last or survive. How do they know this? You open a grocery store, and there's some other people, other nations, that have a grocery store also, same block. You have to get your products, your produce, your food to sell to your community. They get their product, produce, and food to sell to our community. So that distributor comes along and says to you, I'll sell you this pallet of bread for $300. Then he goes to the other nation and says, I'll sell you this pallet of bread for $100. Well, now, the other nation who owns the store, he gets to sell that bread for $1.25. Where you, brother, sister, who owns the store, you have to now make up the difference because you had to pay more for that pallet of bread. And you're going to charge me $1.75. And guess where I'm going? Because I can't afford to buy your bread, I'm going to the other nation to buy. He's cheaper, but that's on purpose. See, you're going to have to keep charging for everything. You're going to have to charge a higher price on everything. And being that you have to do that, we can't afford to shop in your store. We have to go over to him and buy. And since we're buying from him, he's making the money. You're not making the money. And guess what happens? You got to close down. You're out of business. Not because you don't know how to run a business, because they already put a stumbling block in front of you before you even got out the door. That's how the stranger that is within thee gets up above thee very high, and thou comes down very low. He shall lend, verse 44, he shall lend to thee, and thou shalt not lend to him. No, we don't have it. They have it. He shall be the head, and thou shalt be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon thee, and shall pursue thee, and overtake thee till thou be destroyed, because thou hearkenest not unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to keep his commandments and his statutes, which he commanded thee. Who are these people? Who are the people that the Most High God is talking about? Because I don't know any other nation that is in the situation we are in, and we've been in. 46, and they shall be upon thee for what? For a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever. The Most High says, these people are going to be a sign. That means you'll be able to see these people in their poor condition. And when will you be able to see these people? Forever, all the time. You'll see them always in an oppressed state. Well, that can't be the other nation that says they are Israel. They own diamond districts in New York City. They own Hollywood, movie theaters, movie companies in California. They get $5 billion a year from the United States sent over to their country. These are not a poor people, oppressed people, or downtrodden people. Not them. The other countries have resources. The Arab has oil. China has manufacturing, high tech, cars, they make everything. Well, then tell us who the people are that the Most High is talking about here in this book, in this Bible. In this Torah, in Deuteronomy 28, the curses, who are these people that you will see being oppressed forever? And why? Because these people did not serve the Most High with joy, fullness, and gladness of heart for the abundance of all things that he gave to them when he brought them up out of the land of Egypt with a powerful and mighty hand. Verse 48, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. A yoke of iron. Well, we see the yoke of iron, don't we? Chains, shackled hand and feet, sometimes around the neck. Who did that happen to? Who are the people? Where are they? I would like to apologize to them for me oppressing them, for putting them into slavery, a harsh way of life, me stepping all over them. I want to apologize on behalf of my nation. Because if it's not us, it got to be somebody else, right? And if it's somebody else, if it's another nation, point them out to us. You can't teach us this Bible because you don't know this experience. You have no business teaching us the Bible. Dr. Gene Kim, Vocab Malone. When I see y'all laughing and, making mock of my brothers that's on the street corner teaching, I want to bite your head off. But I won't do that. I want to come at you with this book and ask you to tell us and explain the curses. Explain this book to us. Explain this part. Point out to us who the people are if it's not us. Talk about it. Do a sermon. Go on the street corner and say, this is the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, the curses and who it belongs to, who these curses are upon. You have all of these groups coming out trying to act like they're oppressed. No, oppression belongs to us. We claim it. We want it now. Because we know that the Most High is talking about us here. And since you can't explain it, put the book down. All of you, sit down and shut up. You have no business holding this book anywhere, anyway. Let's go on. Verse 48, therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which thou shalt send, which the Lord shall send against thee in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness and in want of all things. And he shall put a yoke of iron upon thy neck until he have destroyed thee. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flieth. A nation whose tongue thou shalt not understand. We know that all European nations use the eagle as their symbol. We know that the Hebrews couldn't understand their language. They speak differently. They speak with a totally different tongue. And they came from a far distance to capture, steal, enslave these people. If it ain't us, tell us who it is. This nation, verse 50, is a nation of fierce countenance, which shall not regard the person of the old, nor show favor to the young. Our grandmothers worked in that field. Great-grandmothers worked in that field. Sun up, sun down. Once you became 5 years old, you ready to work, little man. Sun up, sun down. They showed no favor, no regard to the person of the old age, nor to the young baby that's 5 years old. We have records of that. We can show you that there's a people that this happened to. If it's not us, you got to show us who it is. And with that, brothers and sisters, we're going to say shalom to the Most High Yah.